to ask these two actors questions, but I just want to say I'm so grateful for the two of them for being in my lives and the studio's lives. They've always shown me love and support, and it is so appreciated. Otto and Lawrence, you guys, you don't know what you mean to me. So I really appreciate that. And thank you for being here tonight. I know a lot of people wanted to hear what you have to say, and they're still going to be coming in, but I know we have limited time. Lawrence, we have a time difference. He's in Chicago. Otto is here in New York, and Lawrence is going to have to cut out about 10 minutes earlier. We were planning, and we plan to go to 7:45 because there is a 8 o'clock performance at another link for the Festival of Plays. So we'll get right down to this. I didn't know what kind of questions, but I don't like asking same old questions, so I came up with some ideas. Otto, I hope you were okay with the questions that I put out there.
Sure, absolutely.
Knowing that a number of the people who come in here, you know, are students in training. Many of them are beginners, and they look up to you guys, and I just kind of want to put it in a sort of a perspective for them, that it's a long road, it's not an easy road. And so without talking more, I want to go to the first question to both of you. Given your life's journey as an actor and the lessons you've learned, what advice would you give the 23 or 24-year-old Lawrence Gilliard Jr. and Otto Essandho? And Lawrence, I think we'll start with you. We'll just rotate them. They don't have to be long, you know, just try to speak, if you will.
I talk a lot, James, just to let you know. I like to hear myself talk, so I'll try to cut myself short, though. Advice I would give my younger self, probably, you know, I mean, since I'm talking to probably actors who are in training, a lot are in training, I would say, you know, I remember when I started training, I fought a lot against the process. I was coming out of the classical music world, which is very structured. And I remember James saying in class, he's like, you know, we're going to break you down and we're going to make you, we're going to undo all the things you've learned so you can relearn. And I remember sitting there thinking, good luck, you know? But I would say, you know, if I had known to just let go and give into the process, and I can remember the moment where I did eventually give into the process, it was a day that I almost quit, actually. I was going to quit. But I spent my money. And so, you know, that meant a lot to me, my hard-earned money. So I came back and I said, you know, I'm just gonna give into it. I'm gonna see what happens. And it was in that moment that I really started to progress quicker, you know, to progress quicker. So I'd say to my younger self, I'd be like, just let go, man. Let go and have fun and enjoy the ride, enjoy the process, all of that. You know, it's scary. But you know, use that energy. Use that energy. Don't fight it. That's probably what I would tell my younger self. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. And Otto?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I completely agree with what Lauren said. And also, one thing is, like you said it earlier, James, it's a long journey. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. And I think we go in thinking, you know, this is a business about your dreams and how you want to live your life and the things you want to accomplish. And so you think you're going to do that in a year or two, but this is a long, long, long journey. I'm a big fan of Lawrence's work, and
thank you.
From when he started and where he's going now. And I know that wasn't in 2 years. I know I've been doing it 25 years. So just pace yourself. That's the number one thing. And the other thing, you know, particularly about this business, it's called show business for a reason. It's not show friends, right? And so being a business, you have to understand that everybody that you're dealing with is a business contact that potentially can be there for you later, right? And so my other thing is, like, the casting directors that you meet have the longest memories of anybody that I've ever met before. And right, and that casting director who was an assistant bringing coffee at one point is now casting this HBO film, right? And so all a casting director wants is to see that you can do the business of acting, and you're not going to embarrass her when she puts you in front of in front of the director or the producer. So that's the thing. Pace yourself. and also understand this is a business. And so you are making business contacts, and casting directors never forget.
Right.
Okay, that's good advice, both of you. And the second question is, what one or two mistakes have you made as an actor that you would like to take back if you could?
Well, let me see. I know, one mistake that I made one time, there was this Michael J. Fox had a show. I think he was playing the mayor or assistant mayor or something like that. It was a comedy, and they were shooting it in New York. And I remember going into the audition, and I was very open, and I was improvising at some points in the audition, but it was I had a really good audition. Hire me for the part. I showed up to the first day late first. That was the first mistake. I showed up to the first table read late. And then I got in there and we're reading and it wasn't going very well. But then I realized, like, once I got in there, I felt like the character, and this also plays into the second one too, the character always felt older than I felt like I looked. And as I was reading it, it didn't feel right. So there were some changes that I wanted to make, but I was afraid to ask if I could make those changes. When we actually got on the studio that day and started working on the material, I was just reading it straight from the page and it wasn't feeling like me and coming from me. I was afraid to say anything. So that night I went home and I was like, you know what, tomorrow I'm gonna say something. Tomorrow was too late because they fired me before the next morning. They still paid me for the job because they hired me, but they brought in another actor. So I'd say that was one mistake I wish I could have taken back. I wish I had spoken up for myself in that case. There was one more other case that you said too, where I actually went into this audition. I'm one of those cats that I kind of like to go in feeling the part, the character. So I might wear something, a hat or, a certain kind of shirt or vest or whatever. But this one particular audition, I really felt like I looked too young for the character. So I actually went in a full face made up beard. And I like used that stage glue or whatever. And I I had cut pieces of hair and I would just kind of glue them on like that, right? Full beard. And I went in there and it was obvious. It was for a movie too, a big time movie with Morgan Freeman. I think Dorian Missick ended up getting that part. But I forget the name of it. But I remember going and I knew the casting director. She loved me. I loved her. She casted me and stuff before. But I was a little bit desperate and I really wanted that part and I felt a certain way about it. So I actually did that and I wish I could take that back.
Lawrence, you've always had a youthful look to you, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
But there's not much you can do. I think we make a mistake when we go in and try to make ourselves look younger, sound younger, or older. So we kind of just have to accept that and leave it open to the imagination of the casting people for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Just put it in your performance, I'd say. Just put whatever it is you're feeling, put it in your performance.
They call you in for a reason. So obviously we can't see ourselves, but they obviously saw something they wanted. So Otto, what about you?
The one that just it's a really brief one, but this is one that I wish I could take back, where this is young in the business, and I was auditioning for that play called Blue Orange or something. That
yes, Blue Orange.
Did you do that?
I did. I did the original. Yeah.
Okay. I auditioned for that, and Felicia Rashad was there, and I was reading with her, and I remember this. I was really young, and my manager was like, you got to go in loose. You got to go in loose. Even if you have like a cup of coffee, you could do the audition with a cup of coffee, right? So I'm like, okay. So I walked in, got a cup of coffee, got my sides, and Felicia Rashad is standing looking at me like, are you really going to be drinking the coffee?
Coffee while we're there. That's funny.
And the way she looked at me, she wasn't mean, but she was kind of like, no, that was an instant no. As soon as I walked out, I was like, oh, that's a no. And I'm never going to do that again. Like, what was I? So that's one that I wish I could take back.
What did you say to your manager?
I didn't say anything. The lesson I learned was like, I know who I am and I don't even blame her. It's not like I fired her or anything like that. I just go, I know what I can do. So let me just do me and that's it. You know what I mean? I don't need a trick.
To say something, I just want to say something quickly just about what he just said. The mistakes, I wouldn't even call them mistakes because they're all learning experiences. So I wouldn't take any of them back, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you said a mistake that you would take back. I wouldn't take any of them back because they're all moments of growth, you know?
Yeah,
So,
we learn from those failures or those mistakes. Those are the teaching tools. So that's a good point, Lawrence, you brought up.
yeah.
The third question I have here is, what is your personal source of inspiration that motivates you to keep you going when your self-doubt arises? That's assuming you have self-doubt. Maybe you guys don't. So maybe that's the first one. Do you ever feel self-doubt, and how do you overcome that when it does arise?
You want to go first on this one, Otto?
Sure, man. You know, I think it kind of piggybacking what Lawrence just said is that I've learned to embrace the self-doubt. It's part of it. You know, I try to put it in the performance or the audition or whatever it is, because you're always going to have self-doubt. And so for me, I have rules. Like, I want to put in my head that I can walk away from anything at any time, because it's not more important than my life or my self-esteem, right? We are in a business that we are one of the few artists that it's really us up there. It's not our guitar, it's not our song, it's not our painting. We're the ones standing up there. So when somebody goes, oh, I don't like that take, you feel it because they're talking about you, right? And so I've come up with a lot of things in my head to make sure that I don't put so much import on this that it's my entire self-esteem. One of the things is, if I feel like I've messed up an audition, I give myself 2 hours to bitch and moan.
Wow.
2 hours, and then that is it. And you know, the funny thing is, there's a couple of auditions that I've walked out of, gone like, I'm not getting that, and I get the part. And then there's auditions that I've walked out of and I'm like, I dare them not to get the part. And I get a call back. I call my agent and I'm like, yo, when am I gonna get the offer? And they're like, no, they're going a different direction. You know what I mean? So like, mind, the screwing with the mind, I go, okay, let me just leave myself alone. I give myself 2 hours to complain to myself or to my girlfriend or whoever, and then that is it. Not going to hear from me again. So that's for me.
All right. I was fortunate early in my career, in my life, actually. So I had a lot of wins in my early on. So as I started growing and moving into different, like, you know, I was in the classical music world. I was winning in that, and then I switched into acting, and I was winning in that, and things were moving steadily, you know, steadily. So all my real motivation to do everything was really just coming from my family. Like, you know, I grew up in the ghetto, so I wanted to get my family out and do well for them. So that motivated me to just give my best all the time. And then eventually I got married and had kids, and then they were my motivation to just provide for my family, to get up every day and go and do it and try to win. But I recently divorced and my kids are all grown. So now I'm at a point where I actually had to go through a transitional phase where I was like, why am I doing this now? Right? Like, why am I really doing it? Although I still love it, you know, who am I doing it for? What am I doing it for? And now really I'm motivated by, it's crazy, but just things I want. You know? I'm motivated now by things I want. And I'm also motivated, I guess, by a feeling of still needing to educate on some level, or try to tell a story that's gonna, you know, teach people how to be uplifted or overcome adversities and stuff like that. You know, I still love those stories and those kind of characters. So still wanting to do that kind of work, and still wanting to, you know, drive a nice car. I mean, I remember one time I was talking to someone and they're like, look, whatever makes you come to the table with your best, that's all that matters. You know, some people are like, you have to love it and you gotta. Some people are like, you know, I'm sorry for that siren. But I'm of the mindset, look, whatever, if it's for the women, if it's for the money, if it's for the cars, if it's for the love of it, whatever motivates you to bring 100% to the table, that's all that matters to me. So now I'm just motivated by greed.
Well, it's about time. Can somebody get that person who's coming in now? Thank you. Yeah, I think you're both touching on something that's really important, because you got to, as actors, get to that point where you go in and it's, look, I want to be here and it's my work, and I'm just going to put my work out, and I'm not going to try to do what they want me to do. I don't know what they want me to do. This is me. This is what I would like to do with this. And they either take it or they don't take it. And that's outside of your control. You know, there's not much you can do with that. You know, Lawrence, you're going through life changes, and it's just kind of, hit me. You're not alone, because you know Lauren Luna Velez is going through that, and Andrea Navedo as well, what you've gone through with
Wow.
the family and that. Yeah, all of you
Wow.
within the past
Hard.
year. So
Yeah, it's hard, man.
yeah. Okay. The fourth question I had was just name one actor you would like to work with again if the opportunity arises, and maybe add to that why.
There's a lot.
Otto, you wanna take this one
Yeah,
again?
Otto.
Yeah. The two that pop into my mind immediately are Hilary Swank and Meryl Streep, just because they're legends, right? But they're also incredible teachers, incredibly open, and really not secretive with their work. They love the work. And so when you see somebody at that level, Hillary's got 2 Oscars, Meryl Streep's got like 400,000 Oscars, right? And at least in my experience with them, they love to work. And just like Lauren said, one of the things is like I've talked to Hillary and she says, I still love acting. Like that's what she likes to do. She's done everything. She doesn't have to act anymore, but she loves the work. And so that's, going back to your motivation question, that motivates me. So anytime I'm working with somebody like that, of course, I'm going to try to come with as much of my A game as possible, because that's Swank over there, or that's Meryl Streep. And so that experience, I would like a little bit more of that, just because they're such great teachers.
Yeah. I'd say for me, one is Christian Bale. Because he's just I've always been into the character actors, and he has that ability to transform, on a certain level, and it's just watching him go through that process and watching him do that is just amazing. So I would love to work with that again. And also when he's in front of the camera, he's working with you, he's very giving, Yeah. He's very giving and sharing. He wants it to be good, and so he's good about taking advice and hearing stuff and putting it together and making it the best that it can be. So the other cat is Chris Bauer, who he's another character cat. He's on this show Heels now, but we did a play. James actually came to see that play. It's called it was Mamet's last play, David Mamet's last play.
The Penitent, wasn't it? The Penitent.
The Penitent, yeah.
Yes.
And so I did 2 shows with Chris Bauer, and we had never done a scene together until we did that play. And I'll just tell you, every single night, I never knew what he was gonna do. Like there was scenes, I just never knew how he would play a scene. He would change it. He would change things and play in a certain way. And me, I hadn't been on stage in a while, so I was really nervous to be back on stage. And I was like, once I lock this in and I know what I got, I'm doing that every night. But you can't do it every night when the other actor is switching it, you know? And so he challenged me every single night. It was amazing to just be on that ledge with him. That's sort of the kind of thing you're looking for, to be on that ledge and feel that adrenaline, feel that magic happen. And so I would love to work with Chris Bauer again. He is freaking great.
When was the last time you were on stage? Because it's been a minute for me, bro.
Yeah, well, since that time, that was 2017. Okay. So yeah, that was the Penitent. I believe that was 2017 or 2018, right?
I think it was just a couple of years ago, Lawrence.
Yeah,
3 years ago, so 2018 sounds right.
Maybe 2018.
Yeah.
So.
Time for me.
And that was a good
before
play.
That,
I thought that was a good play. I'd like us to do it here, but that was a good play.
A good one, yeah.
Yes.
It's got a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah.
Before that, it was actually Blue Door, which was like with Reggie Cathy, who, God rest him, miss him, love him. Yeah. That was like 10 years before or something like that. So it's been a minute.
Yeah.
And Otto, when was the last time you were on stage? Was it Streamers?
Streamers, or maybe, no, right after Streamers, I want to say like 2010, 2009, I did Williamstown, 6 Degrees Separation.
Oh, right. We saw that. Yeah, 6 Degrees. Yeah.
It's easily 10, 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah, we came up to see that too, remember?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was so fun.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah.
I want to revisit, if we can, Otto, just for a moment, Meryl Streep, touching upon what Lawrence said about being different each time. I've heard it say when she makes a film, they say when you do a new take, you better be with her because she's going to do it entirely differently. Yeah. How was that? Did you experience something of that kind of flexibility in her performances from night to night when you did Mother Courage and did Delacorte?
Yeah. I mean, there's like legendary stories of just working with her, where, just like Lauren said, it's like, why are we doing this unless we're on that ledge? And we are, and to bring up what you pounded into our head, you're listening and repeating, right? If you're locked in, right, and then she gives you something that's in the moment, you're gonna miss it, right? Because she's listening for you, she's watching for you. And so watching her work, what I loved about her was like, from the minute she got there for the first rehearsal to the last show, she's working. She's working a new thing. She's thinking a new angle. She's talking to everybody, saying, "Okay, next time." I think she's almost like a quarterback. She sees the whole stage.
Wow.
Wants to like tell the story, but it's not. What I love about her and love about like a Hillary and all those people, they know who they are, and they know that, hey, I'm Meryl Streep. I know that everybody's here for me. But it's not an ego thing. It's she lives to tell this story, and she's always trying to tell this story as best as she possibly can. So it's like, when you're working with that person, you have, like Lauren said, you have no choice but to just open up and wait for what you get. And then you look great because you're reacting to what she just did, right?
Right.
When you let go, you're like, oh shit. And then Meryl has made you look like, like you belong there. And
like you belong. Exactly.
It's so easy.
I'm glad you guys have touched upon that, because since you were here at the studio, I start with, before Sandy Meisner's definition, I start with that acting is storytelling.
Yes.
And I talk to them about, wow, what makes for a good storyteller? Because it comes down to it. I go to the theater, I go to a film, I want to get involved in a story, and I want to believe real things are happening to real people, and they sustain me in that story. So that's good to hear you guys confirm that. The next question I have here is, well, which actor director would you like to work with whom you have yet to meet?
Director who I have yet to meet that I would like to work with is probably Steven Spielberg or Christopher Nolan. Steven Spielberg and Nolan. Yeah. Those are the two that I just want to see. I mean, they're hit makers, so I want to see. I like to work with those cats. As far as actors, I would love to work with Meryl Streep. I would love to work with Gary Oldman. That dude is insane. And also, I know this dude, and we've been in. He knows how much I love him. We have the same namesake. As a matter of fact, they spelled my name just like his earlier. But Lawrence Fishburne, I would love to work with Lawrence Fishburne. He's one of my sort of like idols, I guess. One of my inspirations. One of the cats who I watch, and is like, I want to do that. Lawrence Fishburne. So those are three actors that I would love to work with that I have yet to work with.
Yeah.
Well, you've worked with Martin Scorsese, which is pretty damn good.
As a director, yeah. And he's one who I would like to work with again. I've worked with him because that dude, it's like he would walk on set, and then he would just create right there. So it was almost like his brain would open and the heavens would just pour stuff in his head and it would come out his mouth. That's what it seems like.
And Otto, you worked, Martin Scorsese was involved with Vinyl, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he directed the pilot, so I got to work with him. And just like Lauren said, what I love is how much everybody reveres him, because he's such a legend, and so everything goes quiet when he walks on set. And it's not because he's a diva; it's just because everybody's almost in reverence of what he's going to do. And then I saw exactly what Lawrence is saying. And he creates in the moment, and it's almost like you're in the presence of like Einstein, right? You're watching the theory of relativity, and you're like, holy shit. And then there's one time where he decided he wanted, Bobby Cannavale and I had a scene together, and usually he's sitting behind the monitor, and then one time he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go sit over there and watch it. I'm gonna watch it, right? So and Martin Scorsese sitting right there. And I don't know if you experienced this, Lawrence, but like when he likes a scene, he goes, ha! And you can see.
Yes.
And then when he kind of likes what you did, he goes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The corner of your eye, and you're just like, Marty, you can't sit there. You can't sit in my eye.
Right. Distracting, bro. It's too distracting, dude.
Yeah.
Very true, yes.
Amazing.
A last question that I had here prepared is, and I thought of it during the pandemic, or even before that, I've really gotten into the Turner Classic Movies and going back and really viewing all of the films from the beginning of film, or at least talkies, we'll say, over the years. And I find it so fascinating, all these people that most people, young people today, we don't know. I've heard of their names, some of them, but some of their performances, I found their storytelling to be extraordinary, and so one of my favorites, of course, every Saturday night I watch Noir Alley. I just love the noir style of film, but so the question was, which pre-childhood film actors have you watched and admired as someone from the late 20th century actor, from your time? Do you look back long before you were born? Are there any actors that you really admire?
Oh man, you want to go first, Otto, or you gonna let me go?
For Lawrence.
So there's a few cats, I mean, that I love. So when I was young, my grandfather would sit me on his lap and we would watch Westerns. He loved all the Westerns. So once I got older and I would go back and watch some of these movies and these Westerns, one of the cats that stood out to me was Lee Marvin. So Lee Marvin, he's a character dude. And like I said, I go back to that. Like, I like the character dudes, So I like Lee Marvin. I like Gene Hackman, and I like Rod Steiger. I like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon. And I love Sidney Poitier. I love James Earl Jones. Although Sidney Poitier is a leading man, but he was a brother representing, But I like those character cats, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau, Tony Curtis even. So those are some cats that inspired me. I mean, when I started acting, that was during like the De Niro and the De Niro era. So Pacino and De Niro and Denzel and those cats, But the older cats who I still love watching now, it's like I said, Lee Marvin, Gene Hackman can do anything, and I'll love it. Rod Steiger is just a beast, So those are some cats.
It's you've got kind of the same list I have. I have like Kate Hepburn. I like
yes.
Hackman is my dude. I love
yes.
He can do whatever he wants, right?
Who was that, Otto? I didn't hear. Sorry.
Oh, I said Katharine Hepburn, Gene Hackman. I agree with Lawrence. He's one of the people that I used to watch. Yaphet Kotto.
Yes.
Another one. Sydney is like my number one person because I can just watch him do anything on screen. And like Ed Harris is another one that not like way back in the day, but like Ed Harris, to me, him and like Gene have that. They can be in a shitty movie, but they're not going to be bad. Ed Harris is bad in a movie, right? And so
that's right.
Like those kinds of things, like that kind of storytelling back in the day. And I like this is not pre-childhood because I was born in the 70s, but like those like Steve McQueen kind of guys, like I love that guy that doesn't even look like he's acting. He just looks in the camera and like you see everything on his face because he's so charismatic. Do you know what I mean? Like, so those are the people that I look back at and I go, wow, those, I wish I could do just one scene of that where I can make somebody feel like Gene Hackman does in every one of his movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Lawrence, that completes my questions, and I'm mindful of the clock I have in front of me because I know you have a limited time. If you want to make a closing statement, or if people wanted to ask maybe one question, because you have to cut out in a few minutes.
I have one question. Yeah, if anyone wants to ask one question, I just want to say thanks, James, for inviting me. It was fun. I love you, man, and I thank you for everything. I owe a whole lot of my success and what I do and what I'm still doing to you. So I appreciate it. Love you and thank you.
I love you too.
Yeah, if anyone has a question, shoot it out right now because I got a book.
How do you stay? How do you stick with it when things are not going well? What do you tell you?
When things are not going well? you know, at this point, it's like you wake up, like there've been many days where I woke up. I'm gonna say two things as quickly as I can. There was a time when I was in a slump and I just couldn't book anything. And I'll say that in that time, I remember there were two stories that just, you know, came upon me. One was on television, it was about this coach, this basketball coach, and the other one was about Tiger Woods. And both stories are very similar. And they were saying, you know, this coach was like, you know, you get these basketball players, they're playing in college, whatever, they get out, they go to the NBA, and then they change their game. They change up everything. And then they come back to me and they're like, how do I shoot a free throw? And he's like, whenever that happens, I go back to their basics. He goes, you know, stand at the line, dribble a few times, arc your, you know, he's like, it's back to the basics. And Tiger Woods told the same exact story, like in the same week or whatever. He was like, you know, I changed up my putting, my swing or whatever, and I went back to my basic and I started again, and now it's 100% better. In that moment when I was in that slump, that's what I did. I went back to all the notes that I had from James and, you know, over the years, and I started just going back to the basic stuff. And I started booking again because I was out of my head thinking I need to get this job. And I was back in my head thinking, what do I want in this scene? You know, what does this character want? What am I doing? When things aren't going well in a business, because there are peaks and valleys in the business, I wake up and I'm like, what else can I do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, I love this. I love it. So it's in the hands of the universe. And it's the universe's job to make sure that I keep eating. So that's what I do in those moments, man. It's hard. It's hard to do. But that's all that I can do. So
Thank you.
You got it.
That was a good answer, Lawrence. Thank you. I came across notes today. We packed up in a hurry last year when we had to vacate the old studio, and there was a bundle of somebody's notes, and I found them today, and I went into it and I saw it was, they had sat with me as a teacher, and it was teaching notes from 1988.
Wow.
1988.
Wow.
Every day, every class, what I was saying. So I've got them now. I'm going to go through them and have to get back to those basics myself to see where I was.
Do it.
Where I was in 1988. Okay.
All right, I gotta book out of here. But
okay, Lawrence, thank you so much.
Everyone.
When you're back in town, we'll get together in another week.
Will do.
Okay.
All right,
Otto,
take care.
Otto, we got about 8 more minutes left. If somebody has a question for you, or if you want to make a closing.
Yeah, well, if somebody has a question, I'm happy to field it.
Any questions for Otto?
What do you find the difference between working in film and in television and in the theater? What are the technical things around that, and what are the expressive things around that?
Yeah, it's a great question. You know, theater is, to me, the rush. Theater is something that is completely organic, and it is about your technique, and it's about talking to actual people in an audience. And so that's, to me, the purest form of acting. Television and movies is purely technical, right? Because it's like hitting a mark, getting in the right light, you have your emotion, let's do this scene again. Hey, let's shoot all of this stuff out of order. Let's block shoot. So it's a different way of approaching the technique. You know, sometimes I just did a movie in Idaho, and I hadn't been acting in a while, and I kind of went back to my theater roots doing a movie. Now, if you're this big doing everything, the director had to keep telling me, hey, pull it back, pull it back, pull it back, because you're not doing theater right now. You're in a movie, and this much of an eye move tells a story, where on stage you have to do this, right? So it's a completely different animal. And I guess because I hadn't been acting in a while, I had to just go back to what I learned from James, which is all great, but it's a completely different world when you're on film as opposed to when you're on theater. You're doing theater, and you should always be aware of what you're doing, right? And so I hope that answers the question, but it's one is the rush, the other one is the technique. It's the technical aspect.
That's
Otto?
great, thank you. So I'm sorry, James. So how does that affect the way you prepare for a day of a shoot as opposed to showing up to do a performance?
you know, showing up to do a performance, you've had a month at least of rehearsal with the cast and the crew, and you know what your marks are. And so you have way more room and time and real estate to actually play and be in the moment. Whereas TV and film, you have to prepare for the day of waiting and then shooting, waiting and then shooting. Oh, and then this, well, the camera angle didn't work there, or we have to redo that shot. And so we have to like keep working on restarting your energy, which can tap you out completely. And then by the time, especially if you're shooting as a guest star, they're usually going to shoot all your coverage last, right? And so as a guest star, here's a great example. If you're a guest star in the thing, of course they care about your role and your arc, but it's all about the people who are the stars of the show, right? And so you're coming in as a guest star, and let's say it's your mother just got shot and you've got to cry over the body, blah, 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 blah. They're going to get everybody else's coverage, and you're going to be expected to act with all of those people and give them something, but not give them everything. Because when the camera turns around on you, you have to have some tears left or whatever is going to happen. And that is really, really hard to manage. And the great actors in television know that you have to save it and can work with you, but do need you to be able to give them something. But everybody knows now the camera's on you. You've been doing the same scene for 6 hours, and now suddenly it's your time to shine. So you need to figure out a way, and I think it's personal for everybody, how you can manage that energy and distribute it evenly such that when you get to your moment, you can give the performance that you hopefully should be giving.
That's really fantastic. Thank you.
No worries.
Otto, if you could make the kind of money acting live on a stage as you make in film and television.
Yeah, I would do theater.
You would be doing theater.
I would be doing theater. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So
the money is amazing in television and film, and that's why I'm in television and film, because I have a huge record collection that I need to maintain. But you know, you don't get the thrill that you get